Steven saying, I want to believe that in Pueblo you like almost died from stepping in a manhole. That's not something that's in a cheap hotel. Different manhole, Brian.
This is pass around. This is
Right.
pass around.
So,
Just pass around.
I feel like that's the way Steven saying would go. He's the type of person that wouldn't know gravity existed until like 3-4 steps off a cliff.
Yeah.
He looks down, turns into a lollipop, and down he goes.
Because he's Jewish.
It's because he's Jewish.
Power.
That's it. He's a Jewish lollipop. Steven saying. I can't believe they're gonna play. Coming up next, we have a poet of one name. He is hoping to be the next Prince, the next Madonna. He goes by Alexander. Well, then who the hell are you?
Not Alexander.
Zander Alexander?
Well, you're right.
It says Alexander. Is that your handwriting?
Will the owner of the signature...
Would Alexander please report to customer service? Your parents are waiting for you.
You guys are gonna have to fight. We're on number 9, right?
We are on, where the hell?
That's Zander Alexander.
Sandra, that is a word, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that was take 2 on a signature. Give it up to Zander Alexander.
Can you get a close-up on my sloppy signature there, Frank? Thank you. That's my camera right there, so nobody steal it.
Oh, hi Frank.
I'm from Pueblo, where that's not just a joke. I have to say that at the beginning of shows as a warning. It's pretty rough down there in Pueblo. Like Steven was just saying. I guess we almost got killed today. I don't remember, I was stoned. I love doing comedy high, because I forgot where I was going with that. I'd like to thank Studio A64 for hosting this really awesome open mic. It's really good to be back in my hometown. Where am I? Colorado Springs. I lived here once for 2 years, so it's my hometown too. It's really good to be back. I remember last time I was here, there was a guy from the Denver Post here that did an article, and I got my picture in the paper, smoking on a really big bong. That was a good one. But they say, you know, all press is good press or whatever. Yeah, that was really good press. How am I doing on time?
Stretch, man.
Stretch, okay. I'll tell a quick one-liner and get the hell out of here. I wish I could. One of my legs is longer than the other, so I can't even. The more agony I hear from one-liners, the more I enjoy them. So just to be clear, those jokes are for me, not you guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If I tell a one-liner and the audience is like, oh, God, I feel like I just made a girl come, you know? I looked up clitoris on Google Maps one time. I felt like a god for knowing something that Google didn't. So, just to talk about myself a little bit and give you guys a little bit of the background. I also do music, and you can follow my band. We have a profile on plentyoffish.com. And I've traveled all around the U.S. doing comedy and music, and I love traveling, especially being from Pueblo. Because like when you're in Chicago and people are like, where are you from? And you're like, I'm from Pueblo. And they're like, dude, I don't want any trouble. I was actually, my last show, I was on my way to a place called The Spot. And a block away we heard pow, 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 like 4 quick shots. And when we turned the corner, there was a dude at the loafing jug lying on the ground bleeding and stuff like that. Like it was, and then we had to see that and then go tell a bunch of jokes. That was fucking way easy. I don't know, I guess like being from that town, you're just a little bit desensitized to it, you know. People warned me when I was in Chicago, like, don't go down on like Archer Avenue and watch out for this neighborhood and stuff. And I was down there, the people were really nice. Like, I complimented this dude on his shoes, and he was like, here, take them, just don't hurt me. Oh man, this is great. You guys are eating this shit up. I don't usually do this well. Well, it's been a while. I guess I found my groove. But no, it's really good being back here. It's really cool performing here again. It's such a trip. Like, it was like 4 years ago that same camera, because that's how broke I am, was sitting on that same countertop in that same fucking exact spot. Except I was playing music. And I remember I opened with like a Marilyn Manson song, one of the ones that says fuck a lot, you know? Like, and I was just a little bit nervous, but I was putting my all into the performance, you know? And I was watching the owner in the back just sitting there, and I could see the smile going across his face, and I was like, all right, I'm good. It was a fun time. It's always a fun time up at this place. When I was I just got back from California. When I was out there, I fell onto some rough times. My phone screen cracked right at the same time as I became homeless, so I was homeless without a phone. And like I was trying to survive, so I had to like do like daily survival and like leave the house every day and talk to people. It was rough. I went out there though, and I met some really awesome people. And one time I was hanging out and I met this tranny, and she was like, hey, I have like a couple tranny friends. Do you want to party with a bunch of trannies? Like, you don't mind, do you? She's like, I'm a little bit drunk. You could drive my brand new Eclipse. And she was like, we'll go to the casino out of town and party. And I'd never been to a casino, so I was like, yes, let's go. And we went and picked up her one friend, and then we went to the next town over, picked up her other friend, and then we went to the casino. And I get out of the car with these 3 gorgeous women who all have penises. And this guy sitting outside of the casino yells like, damn, Pimp, 3 on 1 ain't fair, let me call out one of you bitches. And I was like, go ahead, dude. And he did. But it was great. And then we ended up, you know, just hanging out. We left the casino and went to this park, and we were drinking like Coronas in this park until like 7 a.m. Which in retrospect was probably not too smart. I was like wondering like, I hope the cops don't show up. I was paranoid as fuck. So then we went to this chiller spot with this like river spot, you know. And it was like 8 a.m. by this point, and there's some like, you know, some middle-aged like older-aged gentlemen fishing, you know. And I'd gone fishing with my dad a lot, you know. I always remember being really social on the way, like, hey, how's it going? You catching anything? You having any luck? What kind of bait you using? You know, and I proceeded to have one of these like normal fisherman conversations with these guys. And then I went across the road right afterwards, and I did lines of coke off of these 3 trannies' boobs in the porta potty. It was a blast. But yeah, I've been on a lot of crazy adventures in life, and it's always cool like coming back to a home base afterwards with all these crazy stories to share with all your friends. Like I remember the one time I was up in Seattle on tour, and I was with my girlfriend at the time, and she had 5 dogs and a pet goat. We started off with 3, but we rehomed a few like on the way, and some things happened, and there was one dog that was like tied in a field, and you know, she always like would ask me like, can we get another animal? And I love animals, so I'm like, sure, why not, you know? And you know, so we were traveling, and our van caught fire. This fire shoots out the front of the hood. We pull over, we're like, oh shit, did you see that? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, well, what should we do? And I was like, run! So my handles broke off. I'm like, come get me! And she comes around, and we get like 20 feet from the van, and she's like, oh no! So I break into a dead, you know, it was like an action movie. It was really cool. I was always the chicken shit, but in this situation, I stepped up and I was like, yeah! And I went and got the animals out. One of the dogs was really, really scared. And she wasn't, you know, coming out, so I had to crawl in after her. And by this time, the fire had spread to the front, and the seats were on fire, and the upholstery was going up. And I got her in my arms, and just as I was turning around, the whole like upholstery just went up like a Roman candle or something. And thanks. I didn't even write that analogy down. That went on my ass. But so the whole van goes up and I feel the heat like on the back of my neck and I'm freaking out. And I'm thinking to myself, like, we got all the animals out, is everything cool? And I'm thinking, like, I'm watching all my stuff burn and I'm just thinking like, I am so gonna get laid off of this story. So I'm gonna close out the joke with one, I'm gonna close out the night with one classic night that you guys might like, this joke. When I was in California, I was checking out this shop that they had downtown. It was in a touristy kind of section. And they had these whistles on the table. And I asked the guy, I was like, what are these? And he goes, they're rape whistles. And I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah. And I was like, how much are they? He was like, they're like $2. And I was like, that's not bad. I was like, but I'm not really that into rape. Do you have like a blowjob whistle? He says, yeah. I said, okay. So I bought like 3 of them. And I got outside and I blew it. But I think I got ripped off because like 3 dudes showed up and raped me. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Zander. You guys have been awesome.
Zander, Alexander.